True. Let's go to Karma Green, we steady on the rise. Digging truth from ancient scenes, we open blinded eyes. Rhyme sharp like pirates' lines, we break the bondage tight. Kamji speaking revolution, keep the fire burning. Chimpy drums guide our stride, we march with purpose proud. No more silence, we collide, our voices thunder loud. Politics and history, we stitch them in every verse. From Pharaoh's throne to Yaoundé streets, we claim the Kamji verse.
I am not FBA. I am not ADOS. And no matter how long you've been in the Americas or anywhere in the world, we came here from Africa. And anyone who wants to foolishly give up the identity of their grandmothers and grandfathers and their great-parents, I feel sad for you, because slavery and colonialism have impacted you in a greater way than we even think. And yet all of us have been impacted by it. But we need to be clear. Don't try to misuse me, Professor James Small. I do not support your backwards, ignorance, foolish point of view about the family and the race. We are one African people. We will die as one African people, or we will live eternally as one African people.
So James Smalls recently exposed the fecal brain assimilationist agents, and he directly used the appellation CIA to refer to these agents. Many of these individuals, if they're not being paid by the State Department, they're collaborators with the State Department, according to James Smalls. These idiots in the coon hack media that call themselves the new black media, that divide black people based upon crumbs that they believe they'll get from the white man's table, the white American man's table. These fecal brain assimilationists, right? They are collaborators. At their very, very best, they are collaborators with the powers that be. And for those who say that Pan-Africanism is dead, it's interesting how the main individual with modern contemporary credibility in James Small, Professor James Small, the main one who gave the Hidden Hairline Shop its credibility, right? Mr. Thomas's museum its credibility. The main one, the modern living figure in the mural, historical figure and revolutionary in the mural, is saying that he doesn't want anything to do with the ashy dildos of Slovenia and the fecal brain assimilationist. And that's really, really hilarious, because we've been saying it for a very, very long time, that these individuals are agents, they're operatives, they're working for the powers that be. You shouldn't trust them. They're manipulative, they're demonic in many senses. Mr. Thomas himself is even the direct descendant of a slave trader born in France in 1798. So the fact that he's talking about Caribbean tethers when his own lineage participated in the enslavement, came to New Orleans on a slave boat in the early 19th century, participating in the illegal slave trade, the main one who wants to talk about tether this and undermining that. Your own lineage, undermine your own lineage, you would have to pay reparations, right? If reparations were to be doled out and we were to deal with which black collaborators, right? You have attorneys like Dennis Sperling, who rightly so, wants to go after some of the lineages on the continent who are responsible for the enslavement of black Americans. The Tipu Tips of the world in Zanzibar, the Madame Tinubus of the world, the Fenda Lawrences of the world, etc. But what about, the Diallos, the descendants of black people in the Americas, who participated in the enslavement process, right? Because the founder of FBA, his ancestors participated in the enslavement process of black Americans. There are many black people who were trading, so-called neighbors or opponents or adversaries on the African continent, and they ended up being trafficked themselves. These individuals ended up being trafficked themselves, because you're talking about prisoners of war. And these assimilationists are prisoners of the American matrix. They can't see beyond the American matrix. And this speaks to a lot of issues. See, James Small, as an elder, he sees that the demographics are to the advantage of the African continent. The Westerners try to say the 22nd century is the African continent, but we want to make that the 21st century, right? The 22nd century is not going to be the African century, as the Westerners say. It's going to be the 21st century and onward. That's what we're going to make it. And Professor James Small sees the demographic advantage of Africa. So he knows that African unity is the future, right? He could clearly see this. And to the fecal brain assimilationist who try to describe gender dynamics and gender warring as a product of Black immigrants, whether you're dealing with BGS, T.S. Johnson, the Torian Walkers of the world, the Green Guerrillas of the world, whether you're dealing with the Oshiedu Jacksons of the world, all of the mainstays of the Black manosphere were rooted in ADOS with Yvette Carnell, where they were associated in the same space with ADOS, right? So the main proponents of this politics and masculinism in Black America come from Black Americans, not Nigerians or Somali, or different Black immigrant groups who immigrated into the Americas, not these Caribbeans. These are Black Americans. And even if you look at the swirlers, right, whether you're dealing with, the Paris Milans of the world, the Crystalline Karazins of the world, and all of the major proponents of like this swirling type of divesting, the Deborah Jane Doles of the world, right, this Black women's empowerment movement, these are Black American people. These are not immigrants. The mothers of the swirling movement are Black Americans. And if this is an immigrant problem, then I don't know, maybe E. Franklin Frazier was lying, maybe Moynihan was lying when people talk about the dynamics of the Black community that are rooted in slavery. These sociologists are lying. And obviously these grifters know this is not the case. They're just grifting for a check and for a trend. They're following a State Department big tech trend of reactionary politics, attacking different groups of Black people around the world. It's just pathetic. The coon hack media is completely pathetic. And ultimately, it is a positive element. It is a very, very, very positive element that Professor James Smalls is doing the good deed and calling out these grifters and calling out these frauds. Because all they do is lie, all they do is twist, all they do is deceive. They are of their father, the devil, if you are a reader of the good book. They are demonic, they are shaitan, right? They are not with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They do not support the truth, right? They are not on the same side as the ancestors. Their lineage will wither away because it's compromised. So we have to understand the importance of Black unity, the importance of this unified approach, because we're not dealing with a local enemy. The Westerners are on the same side, and their plan is not the same. They want Africa to be a dumping ground. They say Africans cannot be, power developers. Africa cannot have electrical grids. They don't even definitely want Africans to have nuclear power. This is why France had such big control over Niger uranium and Orano. These companies, these Canadian companies, right? They don't want that. And China has already received numerous concessions from Congo and other African nations that they've been able to establish diplomatic trade with, right? But the United States, their whole monster matrix is rooted in the subjugation of African people and the extraction of African resources at pennies on the dollar. That's why they don't want African development, and that's why they don't want African power, right? They talk about environmental fears when they've been polluting the environment ad nauseum since the beginning. Since they came into being, their social formations have been extractive, right? Factors of promotion, mode of production based upon depleting a factor of production. When we talk about capitalism and these recessive modes of production. So they are the last ones to be able to talk about environmental sufficiency. They used to think that was savage and primitive. And now vernacular architecture mirrors that which they used to call huts or hut architecture in Africa. They're looking at these different vernacular architecture for environmental sufficiency. This is obvious. These idiots, miscreants, propagandists, we shouldn't believe them. And to the fecal brain assimilationist, y'all should feel ashamed of yourself. Y'all are pathetic. Y'all are disgusting. Y'all are degenerates. So with that, that's all I got for y'all on this one. And we're going to get to Professor James Small.
I am not FBA. I am not ADOS. And no matter how long you've been in the Americas or anywhere in the world, we came here from Africa. And anyone who wants to foolishly give up the identity of their grandmothers and grandfathers and their great-parents, I feel sad for you, because slavery and colonialism have impacted you in a greater way than we even think. And yet all of us have been impacted by it. But we need to be clear. Don't try to misuse me, Professor James Small. I do not support your backwards, ignorance, foolish point of view about the family and the race. We are one African people. We will die as one African people, or we will live eternally as one African people. And so I just want to make this clear, because I'm sick of watching it regurgitate. And many of them don't understand they have become willing collaborators with the CIA. They've become willing collaborators with the American State Department. They've become willing collaborators with the Zionists that want to disunite African people and want to cause confusion in our ranks. But we are one people. We are one African. Pan-Africanism, which means the unification of people around things African, is my mantra and my philosophy. I am not socialist. I am not a Marxist. I have never been those other people's things. I was born and raised in the Christian church, and then I dumped that at 17. I got involved in the Muslim movement, became the heir to Malcolm X, was the imam of his Muslim Mosque Inc., went to Mecca, became a Hajj, and then I realized this is not an African thing, and I cut it loose. And I've studied the history of Islam in West Africa. I'm very clear. We have our own sacred science traditions. We need to bring them back. We need to not apologize to anybody for being Africans.
True. Let's go to Comma Green, we steady on the rise. Digging truth from ancient scenes, we open blinded eyes. Rhyme sharp like pirates' lines, we break the bondage tight. Kamji speaking revolution, keep the fire burning. Trumpet drums guide our stride, we march with purpose proud. No more silence, we collide, our voices thunder loud. Politics and history, we stitch them in every verse. From Pharaoh's throne to Yaoundé streets, we claim the Kamji verse.